Hi everyone, welcome to another weekly wrap-up. My name is Atia here at Booking It with Atia, and yeah, we're just gonna dive right in because I do have a little something special, a little addition at the end of this video, which is really exciting. And we're gonna jump into everything that I read between March 4th and March 10th. So in that week, I finished a total of 15 books. This week was very manga heavy, and when I did read non-manga, it was like novellas and novelettes. Like that was just the mood I was in. Well, actually I should say when I did finish something, that's what I was finishing, because I did read some other things that were not novels, novelettes, or manga. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. Starting off with a series that you keep hearing me talk about, Platinum End. I read volumes 5 and 6 of Platinum End. Again, really enjoying this series. Urban fantasy, choosing the next god, powers, death, destruction. I gave volume 5 stars, and I gave volume 6 4.5 stars. Then I read volume 11 of Blue Period, contemporary young adult about a student who decides late in his high school career that he wants to pursue art, and we're following his artistic journey. I ended up giving volume 11 5 stars. Definitely one of the best volumes of the series so far, and I'm excited to continue on. I also read volumes 3 and 4 of Witch Hat Atelier. That word will forever be a mystery to me. And I gave volume 3 4 stars, and I gave volume 4 5 stars. This is a fantasy. A young girl decides that she is going to become a witch apprentice in order to save her mom. As I'm looking at this list, there were quite a lot of 4.5 5-star manga volumes this week. So in terms of that, it was an absolutely excellent week. Continuing on, I reread Komi Can't Communicate volume 25. I ended up giving that one 4 stars upon reread. This is a series about a high school girl who has a communication disorder. It makes it very hard for her to talk to people. However, everyone in her high school pretty much thinks that she is amazing. She's the most popular girl in school, and she's just like, I don't understand why. And we are following her journey throughout high school. I love this series. I really, really do. And I've been enjoying just rereading volumes and reading new volumes. And so, like I said, I gave volume 25 4 stars. I gave volume 26 5 stars, which was that a reread for me? Volume 26. Ooh, I can't remember, hold on. Yeah, I think volume 26 was a reread for me. Volume 27, however, was not a reread. I gave that one 4.5 stars, and I gave volume 28 5 stars. And we are getting volume 29 in, I think, April, I believe, which looking forward to that, because the way that volume 28 left off is just like, this is absolute insanity, and I'm here for it. Then I finished, oh, I actually have it here, The Imposition of Unnecessary Obstacles by Malka Older. This is book 2 in the Masa and Pletty series. This is a sci-fi mystery novella series that follows 2 queer women of color on Jupiter. What? It's comp with Sherlock Holmes because you have a cop-ish type thing, like more like an investigator, not a cop, more like an investigator and a non-investigator, an academic who team up together and solve these mysteries, and it's very intellectual and just funny and great. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I'm looking forward to more books in this series, and I gave this one 4 stars. Then I read a picture book, You So Black. This is just a love letter to blackness and black children. I absolutely loved this, ate it up. I read it to my little cousin. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful, and I gave that one 5 stars. Then we had The Making of Butterflies. This is part of that collection or project that Ibram X. Kendi is doing, where he is adapting Zora Neale Hurston's short stories for children, and this one was not my favorite. The art style and I did not mesh. And yeah, that's really all I gotta say with it. I think it's a cool story. It definitely has that folklore aspect to it because it is a folklore story. And it was just the artwork and I were not the best of friends. Then I read another novella. This is The Salt Grows Heavy by Cassandra Caw. This is a horror novel that takes an interesting spin on the idea of mermaids. And what I liked about this book is that there were some really beautiful passages, but I also liked the interesting take on mermaids being both monstrous and fascinating. Like, this is not your pretty voluptuous tail mermaid. Like, no, this is like pure beast mermaid. What did not work for me was, one, the love story. We didn't need that. We didn't need it. Yeah, we didn't need it. We didn't need it. And the writing was jilted. There were so many moments where I had to reread sentences. For most of the book, I was rereading sentences because the language was just like stop and start, stop and start, stop and start. And it was not a pleasurable reading experience. What saved the writing were those random moments of beautiful passages where it felt like a completely different person writing the story, which was confusing to me. I ended up giving this one 2.75 stars, and the reason why it's not 2 stars, right? Because initially I was like, is this going to be a 2-star read? The reason why it's not 2 stars is because of the interesting take on the mermaids and the plot, which was pretty cool, as well as those random beautiful moments. That's what added the 0.75 to the 2 stars. But if you took away that and just was basing this on writing, this would be a 2-star read for me. Then I read Drop, Cover, and Hold On. This is a novelette. It was like less than 40 pages. I really thought this was super cute. This is part of the Amazon Original Stories series where it's like unlikely or improbable meetups, and we follow Daisy. She is on her way back home and she's debating, like, do I want to go into this bakery that I love because the owner is super rude to her, and she's standing outside the bakery and she decides to go in because she just really loves the sweets, and an earthquake hits and strands the two of them inside the bakery. And it's on Valentine's Day, and it is just the beginning of their relationship. I really enjoyed it. It was funny, it was cute, it was just what I needed at that moment, and I gave that one 3.75 stars. Then we had the last volume of manga that I read, which was actually another reread for me. I did a lot of rereading of manga this week, and that is Noragami Stray God Volume 1. The reason that I reread this is because I read it a year and a half ago. If you've seen my returning library books after 18 months, that was in that like cohort of books that I was returning. But basically I did not remember enough, and I want to continue on with the series. So I reread Volume 1, and it was just as enjoyable as it was the first time that I read it. I had forgotten a lot, so I'm glad that I did do a reread. I gave it 4 stars. This is about a god, and he is, think like a typical teenage boy. He wants people to worship him, so he's selling his services for 5 yen to people who are down and out on their luck, usually teens or kids, who end up seeing his phone number and call him to help. And there is a girl who ends up, well, she thinks that she's saving his life, and she ends up getting hit by a bus, and that kind of splits her soul a little bit. So she is still living, but her soul is able to leave her body and help him as well. And it's just, I guess, their adventures. I was actually looking this series up. I was looking up the mangaka, and I found out that the series actually ended. The last chapters were published in February, so the last volume should be coming out sometime this year. So this is going to be a fun one where I can just like fully immerse myself in this series, because it came out in, I think, 2010. So there's a lot of content for me to just binge, essentially. Then let's talk about what I made progress in. There are 5 books that I made progress in, even though I did not finish them, and that's going to include The Edge of Midnight, which I'm listening to on audiobook. I'm also reading, I don't have it with me right now, See No Color. I made some progress in / started Sex, Lies, and Sensibility, as well as A Drop of Venom and Luca. 3 of these I definitely see myself finishing within the next week. So you'll hopefully hear more about those in next week's weekly wrap up. And that culminates to a total of 2,381 pages and 2 hours and 11 minutes listened. This was not an audiobook heavy month for me. I actually was looking at my reading stats spreadsheet and I realized that I finished no audiobooks this month so far, which is so funny because I go through periods of time where I'm really heavy with the audiobooks and then it's just like dust bunnies, tumbleweed. Like there's no audiobooks in sight. So that actually concludes the wrap up portion of this video, but I wanted to do like a mini book haul type thing because I have acquired quite a few audiobooks that I did not borrow from the library and I did not borrow from Kindle Unlimited. Like these are in my Kindle library for good, for like the end of time, as well as 2 physical books. Actually, it's really 4 books, 4 physical books, because I did not share 2 books that I bought from a library book sale. So let me actually get those. Okay, so let's start with the ebooks. If you follow me on TikTok or Instagram, you would have, or hopefully you would have seen, I don't really know what the Instagram algorithm is doing, but I shared on there that I was going through my Amazon ebook TBR wishlist thing, and I do that just to check, like, are there any books that have dropped in price? That's honestly what I was doing. And I saw that one book in particular was $0.00, and I was like, for real? Like $0.00. And so I went, I pressed the little buy now button because it was indeed free, $99. And then I just clicked on this author's author page and was perusing through their catalog and saw that several of their books at that time were $0.00. And I was like, wait a minute, is this a sign? I think so. I think so. And so the author was Miss Je ne sais quoi, and I got, I'm not even gonna try to do the math right now, but I'll just tell you the titles of these books. I Got You, Jazziel, The King Who Got Me, Jackson, The King Who Got Me, My Hood King Gave Me a Love Like No Other, books 1 through 3, My Bad Boy Gave Me a Love Like No Other, He's a Savage But He Loves Me Like No Other, books 1 through 3, as well as Bad for My Gangsta, which I think that equals out to being over 10 free titles. Some of them are, I think some of them might be novellas and some are full-length novels. But yeah, the reviews on this were really good. So I was like, I might as well just add this to my Kindle library while it's $0.00. And then we have some other ebooks that were free. No, I'm so sorry. They weren't free. They were on sale. What am I saying? So we have 5 other ebooks that were on sale, and that is A Conjuring of Ravens by Azalea Ellis, which was super intriguing to me because this is a fantasy book by a Black author and I've never heard of this book before, but I was like, you know what, let's go, I'm intrigued. We also have Love Notes Equilibrium by Christina C. Jones, From Illustrating to Love by Ruby James, and this cover is just so much fun, as well as A Monstrous Mrs. Mai by Van Wong, and Nowhere to Land by Teresa Houston. Yeah, I'm excited to, at some point in my life, get to these books. Because that's how that goes. And then in terms of the physical books that I got, we'll start with the 2 that I got from my library bookstore. So they just have a bookstore in there where they sell books for $1, $2, $3, depending on what they are. And I was in there a few weeks ago and was just perusing just to see what they had, and 2 books in particular caught my eye, so I picked them up. The first one being When Trouble Sleeps, and Amaka Thriller by Lei Adenle. I think this takes place in Lagos. Yeah, so this is an investigator. The self-appointed savior of Lagos' sex workers. Amaka may have bitten off more than she can chew. this time as she finds herself embroiled in a political scandal. I also need to, yeah, this says that it's the sequel, so I want to read the first book prior to reading this one, so I'll see if it's on Libby, but this one immediately grabbed my attention. And then we have a historical fiction. This is The Stationery Shop of Tehran by Marjan Kamali, and this one, yeah, tells the story of a stationery shop during times of unrest in Iran. Then we have Real by Kennedy Ryan. I bit the bullet and got this one, which is a Thickums one. And the reason that I bought a physical copy of this one is because they recently announced the new cover, because I believe this is going to be traditionally published. And I'm not a huge fan of the new cover. That's the new cover right there. I'm not a huge fan of it. I really desperately need publishers to stop taking beautiful Black people off the covers of books, either books that are traditionally published already or books that were previously independently published. There was absolutely no reason why you could not recreate this cover with a different artist. There's no reason. I'm debating whether or not to say this, so I'm just gonna say it. The new cover looks like cartoon pop art. It looks like that artist who was made famous for the Campbell cup of noodles, Campbell soup. What was his name? You know what? He's irrelevant, but that's the immediate thought that came to my mind when I saw that cover. I was like, we couldn't do better? We couldn't do better. We could do better. And at some point, we did do better. And so that's why I now own this cover. And this is the version I will be reading, because there ain't no way. There ain't no way. And speaking of beautiful Black people on covers, I picked up my copy of This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition with the beautiful pink flowers instead of the orange. And just like, Soledad is just so beautiful. Like this cover as well as the cover to Before I Let Go. I mean, whoever did these covers, I hope they get a raise. I hope they always have sunny days. I hope their bank account is always full. I hope that their pillow is always cold. And they just really did their thing with these covers, and I appreciate them for that. So yeah, that is my weekly recap, as well as a mini book haul, which really isn't a mini book haul because there was what, 20 books on this list? 20 books on this list. I can't really call it a mini book haul just because most of the books were ebooks. Like it wasn't a mini book haul at all. But anyways, if you like this video, make sure to give it a huge thumbs up. Comment down below what was your highlight read of the past week, or a book that was disappointing in the last week. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and click the notification bell so you're notified every time I release a new video. All the links to my socials are down below, as well as the link to my Etsy shop and my Pango book storefront, and I will see you in another video. Bye! I ain't living for the moment. I see what's mine and I want it. Hungry like a Pac-Man. I'm Bruce Wayne and Batman. I'm Naruto with a Hanzo. Got a sharp mind like I'm Einstein. Plus I'm copywriting, so it's all mine. Check it for me, I'm in the sky.